A man was drinking wine with his wife when he suddenly felt something strange. Confused, he looked at the wine glass. When he took out an ice cube, he choked. Then he asked his wife, "What do you see in this?" She too began examining it. She took out a magnifying glass and carefully inspected it. Upon inspection, they discovered it was a small statue of an elephant with long hair. His wife was shocked. She looked at the statue and said, "This ice must have come from here. So the problem must have started here." When she opened the freezer and removed the layers of ice inside, she paused for a moment. Then she called her husband. When he looked inside the freezer, they found a microscopic civilization. Under their observation, the society began developing rapidly. Judging by its progress, it seemed to be in the medieval era. Though they were confused, they decided to bury the elephant statue, which brought them a sense of peace. Then they opened the freezer again. Surprisingly, only 10 minutes had passed. In that time, the civilization had reached the Industrial Revolution. Time inside was moving extremely fast. 1 minute on Earth equaled 100 years in there. They were deeply intrigued by what they were seeing. But suddenly, a nuclear explosion occurred. The husband's eyes were blinded by the sudden bright light. He covered his eyes in pain. The wife, angrily, said, "They are really at war with each other." They turned again to check the situation, but things had gotten even worse. Unable to bear it anymore, the wife closed the freezer door. An hour later, they were discussing what might have happened inside. The wife sadly said that the civilization might have been destroyed. The husband agreed, so they opened the freezer again. But this time, their faces were filled with astonishment. They saw that the level of technology inside was far beyond anything on Earth. They were amazed by what they saw. The buildings inside kept changing into different shapes continuously. Each transformation symbolized a different era. Eventually, the civilization turned into a glowing orb of light. Then countless points of light began to emerge from the freezer and spread around for a while. The husband and wife watched the lights in awe. The lights swirled around them and danced in circles. The moment was incredibly beautiful. Then all the points of light went back into the freezer. The glowing orb shone brightly, and the civilization inside came to an end. The husband and wife just embraced each other, filled with a deep sense of regret. They had witnessed a glimpse of a great civilization. It felt like a miracle. The next day, the husband and wife opened the freezer again. Curious, they looked around. But astonishingly, a new civilization had already begun to develop inside. A group of primitive people were happily eating the meat of a dead dinosaur. But suddenly a roar was heard. Another giant dinosaur attacked those primitive people. And that's where the movie ends.